Yeah, if you didn't know or don't know Kerri, she is our kids director. She's been with us since the fall and is just doing a phenomenal job. And I can say that we are witnessing God do a move in the kids over there, right? I think we talk about this every week, but it's really something new all the time.
It's the amazing team back there,
Yeah.
for sure.
And so can we appreciate Kerri and her team who are, and this is personal for me because I have kids, but even if you don't have kids, this is part of our vision as a church, to be a church for the next generation. And I love what you said the first time we sat on this stage together. You said that kids are not going to be the church, they are the church. And that is our vision here for kids. And so you can still get involved with that. Shameless plug. Kerri's an awesome leader, and I think you'd have a great time on her team. Well, the reason that we're going to talk today is because Kerri has some exciting news, something pretty big in your life. Kerri has written a book that has just been released called The Accessible Church. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here with all of you. When Mike said I had this opportunity, I thought, wow, to be in my new home church to share about it for the first time means a lot. So thank you.
Well, we are honored, and what I am excited to talk to you about is how this isn't just, a book that someone that we know published, but there's a heart behind this. And so I wanted to give you a moment and just ask, tell us, where did this book come from? Who is it for? Just there's a story behind it. Yeah. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, so the book is called The Accessible Church, Making the Church a Welcoming Place for Children and Families with Special Needs or from Traumatic Backgrounds. And it may seem like that's a given, that every church would be able to open their doors. And it's not that they don't have the desire, but not every church feels equipped to be able to care for children who have behavioral or physical differences. So really, that's the heart behind this book, is how can we help other churches be able to open their doors to every family?
Yeah, and so there's some experience, I think, behind that for you.
There is. I have had the privilege of working with a lot of children and families who have struggled finding their place, their home church. And that has just been my heart. And Mark 2 is one of my favorite stories, where it talks about the people who brought the paralyzed man to Jesus. But if you're working with children, it's phrased like this: friends brought their paralyzed friend to Jesus but couldn't get in the front door. So they lowered him through a hole in the roof. And while that story is about Jesus forgiving his sins first, that's always stuck with me, that there was an obstacle in the way of people who loved their friend to get him to the feet of Jesus. So I've just looked at what are the obstacles that are keeping our families who want to get their children into the church and they want to be a part of the church. How do we remove those obstacles? And in my journey, it started with one child, one little boy who had autism, who lovingly turned our children's ministry upside down. But we found a way to help him be successful and have his family be a really big part of biblical community.
Yeah, that's great. Well, you've kind of already answered this question, but this is why I was so interested in having this conversation, is I believe there's a challenge in this book for us as One Hope Church. And could you speak more to that? How do you believe this challenges us?
In a couple of ways. I think that we need to cultivate awareness, because often churches can say, well, I don't have any of these children as a part of our church. But statistically, 1 in 6 children has some sort of special need. And 1 in 44 kids has autism. So that means that if you have more than 10 kids attending your church, you probably have a child in a family who needs additional help. And, we're about to roll into Easter, and I love that we will call Christmas is the story of Jesus, the greatest story ever told, but Easter is the fulfillment of that story, right? Where Jesus fulfills that promise, and that promise is for our kids as well. And when Jesus says, let the little children come to me and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these, that's what we do when we're stepping into Easter, and we're inviting people into that relationship with Jesus. And I just want to make sure we're not hindering the children. that Jesus is calling in.
Yeah, and you already shared this, but this is part of our ongoing conversation about Easter coming in 2 weeks. And so you've heard us mention this really for the last 3 weeks on Sunday. But we want to say this about Easter. It is unashamedly for the person that does not know Jesus yet. And so this is the opportunity, church, for, Kerri and I can invite a small circle of people because there's 2 of us. But this body here, we know people that need to hear the hope of Jesus, and we know people that have kids that need to hear the hope of Jesus, and we know people that have kids that don't think they're welcome in a church, and they need to hear about the hope of Jesus. And so I believe that this book is a gift to our church. It's a challenge to our church. There's a reason that you are here and that you wrote this book, published this book. I think we've been talking about this since you came on staff. So I want us to make sure that we celebrate this achievement, because it is an achievement. And a labor of love that you've shared more with me about as it's unfolded. But here's what we're going to do. We have 10 copies of this book, and Kerri's going to be back there. I have this copy, so this is one of the 10, so you got to take it from me. But we're going to give away 10 copies of this book. We also have the ability to get it on Amazon with the QR code that should be on the screen. And so we want to encourage you to get this book, not just in support of Kerri, support of our ministry, but because I think there's something for us to receive from it. Amen?